Oh, I probably can't get up there. Guess I'm not a Skyrim horse.
She got white wall tires, hubcaps of gold. She got a long back seat, something to be.
I feel cheated out of a perfectly good chopper now. Let's just go downhill. This song is literally called Lovin' Machine. Damn. And it's so goofy, I love it. She's so very extraordinary. I wonder why game developers don't just like port their games over to slightly more modern engines even when they're done with like the release, because if they could port this to the new version of their engine that the sequel to this game runs in, then everyone would get better performance and quite possibly better graphics across the board. And not being either willing or able to do that, I think kind of shows the limitations of how we develop software, and games included. Because there's not that much different between this game and the sequel in how you should like render graphics and put things on the screen, or how physics should work. And it seems like the code base is coupled to a very specific version of the engine, because that's just what's like easy to do. And decoupling the version of the engine from the rest of the actual game would probably take so much effort that no one's really gonna do that. It's the same as how you have, let's say, Unity version 22, 2022 or whatever, and if you wanted to upgrade to something else, then you'd really struggle, because you'd have to basically port the project over, and a lot of changes would happen, and so on and so on. And I wonder why no game developers really ever try to run multiple games like on the same underlying engine, and to carry over the improvements in the engine or their like code bases back to the older games they've already made. Because surely if you would say, hey, my game has a super big and fancy upgrade available that basically brings the graphics of this game one full generation ahead, or like the physics or the performance or weapon handling and so on, then surely you'd be able to swim in money. That's not what's happening. Yes. And that's kind of crazy. I don't know. Feels like very much a missed opportunity when you think of a game as a project that has a start and end date, and that you basically are like, okay, this is the amount of total sales we got, and there's nothing in the whole wide world that we could do to get more sales on this game. And I think gamers might also be partially to blame, because very few people are going to be like, hey, yeah, I want to go back to this game that was, already released like 5 years ago, and I want to replay it in a completely sort of new experience and engine. That sort of happened with Stalker and some of its mods, yes, but at the same time, that's like the exception of the status quo. Yeah, there are sometimes like remastered versions of the games, and those seem to actually do quite kind of good. Like there was one for Doom, and there's like some for the Mafia games, which in some ways feel like completely different games, even if they're like very much inspired by the original product. And those are some of the better examples, like seriously, that thing can work. I think the most popular example that pretty much everyone probably knows of is Counter-Strike. Because they went from like Global Offensive to Counter-Strike 2 and upgraded the actual engine technology and changed a bunch of underlying stuff while keeping the core of the game in many ways unchanged. Now how smoke works, you know, the whole physical thing and the guns affecting the smoke, that's new and that's different and stuff. But other than that, they ported over a bunch of stuff to a newer version of the engine, and that's kind of really cool. I wish more people did that. Because, you know, then I'd at least get like 60 FPS on this game, not 30. There's no reason why an older game should run this badly when we have the technology to basically make the sequel run twice as well. With just a different renderer. Oh well. Sometimes it just be like that. You know, sometimes I love to kind of nerd out about the most random of topics. Just kind of fun to do, not gonna lie.